In sports, we want to recognize a young man who won the African Rally Championship at the youngest age. He's broken the record of winning it at the age of 20. He was born on 5th April 1993. His name is Jassy Singh. Jassy, welcome to this interview. Tell us, who is Jassy Singh?
Yeah, like you said, I'm Jesse Singh, a young man, only aged 23. Very young. I'm a Zambian guy born in the Copperbelt province, which is Chingola. Lived my whole life here in Lusaka, went to school in Lusaka my whole life. Studying at Zikas at the moment, doing the ABE program with them. I currently work as well in Zambia and fully Zambian.
Tell us about your education. Which schools did you go to and so forth?
I started off my primary school at the Italian School of Lusaka, which is in Rhodes Park. I finished up to grade 7 there. Then I moved on to Lusaka International Community School, which is right here in Roma. I finished up to my grade 12, and then I did the IB program at ISL, which is the International School of Lusaka, and now I'm at Zikas now. So my whole education career has been in Lusaka.
So when did you start rallying?
I think my interest came from a pretty young age, I must say, because my whole family has been into the motorsport industry, right from my grandfather down to my father, my uncles, my aunties, cousins, and down to me. So I mean, it really grew from a young age. When we were very young, I can remember the days when we were 10, 11 years old, going to watch my father race outside of Zambia and even inside Zambia. And I think the love for the sport started growing at that age. So I was really counting down to how many years I have left to get a driving license so I can start participating. And lucky enough, RATSA came in the program and joined hands with ZMSA to allow guys who are below the age of 18 to participate in rallies. And that's how I was privileged enough to start racing before I would even get a driving license. So I started racing when I was 16. I started doing the 4x4 category, which is more like off-road obstacle stuff, not high speed. So it was a more safer environment for the young guys to enjoy. And yes, I did enjoy it. I did release my adrenaline. I did learn a lot of experience from there. And I did that for about maybe a year or two, and then I moved on to rallying. And that's when I started really doing the high-speed racing, basically. And that's when everything kicked off.
Okay. Is it because your family has been doing it that you also jumped into it, or you've had that passion as well?
No, definitely. I think the passion grew from my family. I mean, like, how do I ask you, why do you like football? It's been there. It's our sport, and you just grow into it. So I think I really grew into the sport because everywhere I looked, I mean, I used to breathe and see rally everywhere I go. So it was basically just everywhere in my eyesight, it was building up in me. So it was undoubtedly I would not do rally. I would not follow the sport.
Tell us about your first encounter in motor rally, the first rally championship that you did.
I must say I didn't have an easy run in my early years of rallying. I mean, we bought a VW Golf from South Africa, and we had no luck with that car the first 2-3 years with it. I kept on breaking down. I remember I crashed quite a few times with it. The reliability on the car was not up to standard, and I was finishing way in the back. And then once we upgraded our car to get the new Subaru, and then that's when things started falling in place, and the car was much more reliable. I was now finishing rallies, and that's when I started now picking up the pace and getting down to winning the rallies.
Okay. You told us that you started with 4x4. How was it with 4x4, and why did you switch to motor rally?
I think why I joined 4x4s, like I said, was the only discipline in motorsport that I could participate in at my young age. And I remember I used to call my grandfather from Chisamba, all the way from the farms, because he had a 4x4 car. So I would borrow his car to enter the 4x4 events here in Lusaka. So I'm grateful for him for borrowing me his car, although he did do some damage to it. But at least he taught us the roads, and the ropes of how to grow. So yeah, that's. Then I think eventually after I got the hang of driving and the skill, and that's when my father put me into a rally car, and then he told me you can start racing out here, and that's how everything started off.
Did you have a target then of winning the African Rally Championship?
Not at all at that moment, not at all. In 2013 was our first year doing the African Championship, and we went in basically to gain experience, and we didn't want to fight the championship, wanted just to go and have fun and to support Mohamed Issa, who was doing it that same year. We had no budget that year for doing the African Championship. The budget normally I think is roughly $100,000 that year, and we only secured a $20,000 budget. So we only selected to do I think 3 or 4 events that year, and our car was not up to standard. It was a really downgrade. all the guys, our competitors, were driving the latest technology vehicles out there, and we were in a 2003 model car, and all of them are driving 2008, 2009, 2010 model cars. So we had no chance of winning. We didn't even think of winning anything. But we just said, let's go out there for the experience, then maybe next year in 2014 we'll come back and then attempt for the win. But luckily for us, not luckily, we played our cards right and God was on our side. And race by race we were progressing and finishing, we kept on finishing. And that's the major thing in life, is you have to keep finishing. For you to finish first, you first have to finish. And so yeah, we went to South Africa, we finished second. We came to Zambia, our performance was quite bad, we finished fourth. But we kept on finishing. Went to Tanzania, we finished second again. Went to Kenya, we dropped out. And by then we were already lying second in the African Championship, and we were supposed to come back home by then because we had no funds. But then we came back home and we sat down as a team and we discussed the way forward. Like, look, gentlemen, we have a chance of winning it, even though we don't have the sponsors, but we have God on our side. So we just prayed about it, and the funds came through the government as well, and they pushed us to go through to Uganda and Rwanda and Madagascar finally, and eventually everything went well and we won it. So there's a really dream come true.
Tell us the experience of winning the African Rally Championship at a young age, just at the age of 20 in Madagascar.
I think it was the toughest race of my life, even though I was racing by myself. We went in the race 1 point apart between me and the Ugandan guy, Just Mangat, and the winner was, whoever wins there wins the whole championship. And unluckily for him, he dropped out the first day from electrical fault. So all I had to do was to make sure I finished the race so I can beat him on the points. And everyone thought that's the easiest task, because we went to bed that night like, tomorrow will be an easy day, just drive to the finish, take it easy. Even if you drive like your grandmother, doesn't matter. You're going to win the championship, just take it to the finish line. And we thought it was going to be a real easy task, but it was really the toughest rally of my history. Just the pressure on your head and knowing Zambia is waiting on you to cross that finish line was a huge pressure. And being a young man, only 20 years old at that time, I took on a lot of weight on my shoulders. And luckily I had Dave Sioka on my side, the veteran, and he really helped me and pushed me and mentored me to control all the pressure and get to the finish line. So it was a real tough one, but all well worth it.
Okay. How challenging was it? We are told sometimes you could find rocks on the road.
Yeah, definitely. We thought, we're not sure whether it was the Ugandan team or the Madagascar teams, but there were people out there who are putting rocks on our road and you coming in the cliffs and the guys are throwing rocks over onto your cars, and you come on the transport going to service points, they're blocking you and doing all kinds of stuff. And we knew they're trying to block us from winning because everyone was jealous because how we entered the championship with no funds, how we're using an older model vehicle, being a young man of no experience, he's beating everyone and all that kind of stuff. So I think everyone was really against us for not winning it. But I mean, if God's on your side, no one can be against you. And we pushed on and we got the finish line and we won it.
How much support did you receive then from the family, from stakeholders like government and the local fans in Madagascar?
I mean, Madagascar, they really welcomed us as if we're Madagascars, I must say. A big thanks to our sponsor at that time, Automotive Equipment and Netone, who pushed us all the way, even though they were going through a tough time, but they saw light in us and we're giving them good coverage for their companies. The government as well sponsored us big time, without any doubt. I won't say anything about them. They really pushed us. My family, my mother and my father, my whole family flew down to Madagascar to give me support because they knew this is a crucial event, and it's because we're going to break the record, which we did, being the youngest man to ever win the African Championship. So I had big, huge support. The whole of Zambia supporting us. You get online Facebook tweeting and all that kind of stuff, and it was just flowing, and that's what gave us all the drive to push through.
Okay. The record you broke was being the youngest driver to win the African Rally Championship, and no one is yet to break it. How does that make you feel?
No, I do feel confident. Although my brother was supposed to break it last year, but unfortunately he didn't. But yeah, I think the record will stand for long. It was a pretty tough record to beat now, being 20 years old and there's no one really competing, no young guys competing in the African Championship this year. I'm not sure about next year, we'll see. But yeah, definitely it will be a hard record to break, and Zambia has put the record out there for it to be broken, so we'll see how long it lasts.
Through your career, you've worked with different navigators, Dave Sihoka, and the current one you have. Tell us the experience of the navigators you've worked with.
You know, Dave Sihoka really taught me how to control pressure, how to strategize out your events, how to plan your events, your tire choices, your fueling, your suspension setups. He basically taught me how to do rally. And once I got the hang of it, then he kind of retired and we took on Sajid Khan, who was my buddy. And I showed him how to navigate. And now we both as a team and we're both building up each other and making each other stronger in the car and teaching each other new things in the car. Even though I'm a professional or I'm a champion already, doesn't mean I know everything in the world. So I do listen to him and he does tell me stuff, you're doing this wrong, I'm doing that wrong, and I tell him the same thing. And together we build a strong team and we can see we're still winning events, even though he's a new co-driver.
Apart from winning the African Rally Championship, you've also won the National Championship. How can you compare the two?
No, definitely. I think the National Championship in the past 2 or 3 years has really picked up the pace. Before we would barely get 8 to 10 cars entering an event, and now we're getting almost 20, 25, 30 cars every rally. And for you to be in the top 5 position, the top 5 positions, you have to be really a strong driver. I mean, I don't win the stages outright when I'm racing here. I mean, like you can see in the last event, I had a big fight with my brother, who I thought I really underestimated him in that event. I thought it would be a really good walkover for me, but it was tough. I mean, the Chulu brothers were there in the smaller car and they're really pushing it. There's the young Isa guy who bought a new car now and he's really pushing it. There's the Gomes guys from Indola. There's so many drivers out there who are really picking up the pace and everyone is hungry for success, not only us. So the championship in Zambia right now is really thriving and it's really booming. So that's a good thing.
Okay. Would you say which one is tougher of the two? The African Championship and the National Championship?
I think tougher will be the African Championship. It's still tougher because you have to go through, you go to new countries, meet new drivers, new roads, different kind of terrain. So you have to adapt to all kind of, each country you have to keep adapting. And that's the toughness about it. And that's why when you win the African Championship, it's a really prestigious event because there's so many things you have to keep encountering. Whereas for Zambia, we basically know the roads, we know the farms, we always race on the same farms. But the competition here is really building up and that's the fun part. Whereas in the African Championship, there may be 3 to 4 drivers. So the competition level is lower, but it's quality competition, if you get what I'm saying. And in Zambia, now it's building up. So I'd say they're almost on par now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you've faced in this sports career?
I think the biggest challenge everyone faces in every sport is sponsorship. I mean, things are really expensive nowadays. Just the cost of fuel and tires is blocking everyone from racing nowadays. So I think that's the biggest backset for every driver out there that has. And we're fortunate enough we have good sponsors on board right now for us and for my younger brother who is doing the African Championship this year. And we're supporting him as well through our own companies. But it's really tough out there. The sponsorship is not really as... we don't use the sponsorship in rally as good as we could.
Okay, and what do you think is the best way possible of coming to terms with this challenge?
I think once the economy is not only in Zambia, but it's a worldly thing. If the economy starts booming, then the sponsor will have the money to start investing into youths. And not only in motorsport, into boxing, into football, into tennis, because sports develop the country. So that's a really sustainable development, is going through sport. And once everything starts booming, I'm sure then our corporate world will start investing into sporting programs.
Have you ever thought of doing any other sports discipline apart from motor rally?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I used to swim for Zambia when I was a young boy. From the age of 12 up to 17, somewhere around there. I used to swim for Zambia. So we swam for Zambia in South Africa, in Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, all around Africa. And so yeah, I used to swim for Zambia. Now I'm racing for Zambia.
Okay, why did you abandon swimming?
I think my rally passion grew too high and I found swimming too slow for me.
In your family, you have your grand uncle who has 8 titles. You have your father who has 2 titles. How do you get yourself in the family with your one title that you've won?
No, definitely. We always have an argument when we have family gatherings together. My grandfather will say, no, I've won 8 titles. You guys can't compete with me. My father will say, no, I have 2, so I can't compete with him. And I just say I'm the youngest. So, and then we end there. But yeah, I'm the least one. I only have 1. Hopefully, if time goes well and everything goes to plan, maybe I'll get more.
Can you say you've achieved what you wanted to achieve in life?
No, definitely. We can't say we've achieved what we wanted to achieve in life. I mean, we have to keep growing our goals in life. I would really love to participate in one of the World Rally Championships. I know that's a big budget and a big task to take on, but we have to aim high for us to succeed. So hopefully one day we'll reach there.
How many more African titles do you want to add to your name?
As many as I can until I go blind. So
I was coming to that question. When do you intend to retire?
No, I don't see myself retiring anytime. Sport is what keeps a human being young. So you have to keep yourself active, keep young. I'll train my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren if it will be need to. I think I'll only retire once I go blind. There's no way I'll stop riding or stop doing any kind of sport discipline.
The last time you won the African title was way back in 2013. What has been happening in between?
In between, I've gone back to school. We've been trying to build up the sport here in Zambia as well. We attempted the African Championship last year as well. Unfortunately, we didn't manage. We came out second. We had a bad crash towards the end, which cut off our championship. This year, my brother is doing it, so we're supporting him. Maybe next year we'll both go and do it. So we're planning to go a big team of Zambia next year, maybe 4 or 5 drivers. But we'll see how that goes. It's still in the pipeline.
Tell us the experience of losing 2 vehicles in a space of less than 2 years. How was it? How was the experience in both instances?
Yeah, I know the past 2 years have been quite a bad era in my career. First, we lost the winning championship car, which was in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, 2015, which we flipped onto the side and the fuel tank bursted open. And because the exhaust becomes red hot when we're racing, and we use F-gas, which is highly flammable, the fuel leaked onto the exhaust and ignited the fire and made one big, huge bomb. And luckily enough for me and my navigator, we managed to escape and come out of the car. But the car was gone within a minute and it was completely burnt to ashes, and we lost that car. Then last year we had a bad crash in Uganda where we were racing for the championship with the Kenyan guys, Jassy Singh. And we had to beat him at the event for us to win. So it was like a do or die. And I mean, we went flat out, we were on max attack. And unfortunately, we had a wrong note over a blind corner and we crashed it. But it happens in sport. But it wasn't good for our team. We lost another car. And so this year we've bought another car. And hopefully we're trying to keep focused and keep it clean this year.
After all those incidents, did you ever feel like giving up or anything?
Not at all, no. I had a lot of family support, my support from my sponsors, who were saying there's no need to give up. In life we encounter such setbacks, and if we're going to cry on spilt milk, we'll never succeed in life. So you have to just lift your shoulders up, put your head up high, and continue walking forward.
So what's happening now? You are back in the race. Did you repair the same vehicle or you had to get a new one?
We kind of got a new one and repaired the same vehicle together. We just bought in a complete new shell body and moved the old drivetrain parts into that shell, and did a few developments here and there on the car. And so far the car's running well. I mean, we won the last event, the Zambian International Rally. So the car's proving to be good now. It's getting reliable. So far we did a lot of testing with it, and we'll see how it goes. This year we'll focus on the Zambian Championship and try and build the quality of the competition level up here in Zambia.
Tell us some of your high moments and low moments in your life.
High moments, obviously, when I won the African Championship, when I'm becoming the youngest person. And obviously my low moments will be crashing off 2 cars in a space of 2 years, whereas all my other teammates have not even crashed 1 car, so I really felt low at that moment.
Now I want you to advise the young, the upcoming rally drivers or even other sportsmen and women. What would be your advice?
No, I would say let's all get active in any kind of sport, be it motor rally, be it soccer, be it basketball, any kind of sport. But just keep active in sport, because sport is what develops the country, and we want to develop Zambia together because we're all one Zambia.
There's one issue of investment. We've seen some sportsmen and women who've gone high up there, but within a space of time, they are low up there, just on the streets begging and so forth. What's the best way of maintaining the momentum?
The biggest challenge every sporting person has, I think, is discipline, self-discipline. If you have no self-discipline and you already reach the high marks up there with no discipline, there's so many things that get thrown at you which can easily drop you down. So you really have to be strong at heart, know what you want in life, have good, strong self-discipline, respect your parents, honor God, and you'll never drop down.
So you are 23 now. Tell us what you've achieved in your sports career.
I'll start from swimming. When I used to swim for Zambia, I've won several gold medals, silver medals, bronze medals, probably even records which are broken. That's from swimming side. From my 4x4, I was the youngest guy to ever win the 4x4 event in a Toyota Land Cruiser. And then in motorsport, in rallying, the youngest African champion in the history of Africa. And I've won, I think, the Zambian Championship now twice, and we're going for our third one, hopefully. So that's basically a round-off figure.
I have personally benefited a lot. For me, Jesse Singh is my hero. But Jesse wouldn't have done it without the support of his mother, Natalie Singh. She's in a limbo because every time she goes for these rallies, she has to support Jesse Singh. She has to support Muna Singh Jr. She also has to support the husband. Maybe we hear it from herself. Who do you support?
Okay, not only my husband, but I also support the girls because we've got two of our daughters also navigating. So yeah, I've known Muna for so many years, and it's very difficult just to support only him, which he's had his chance. So now it's time to support the kids. Even though I support him in racing, but I think I support the boys more and the girls more, because I feel as a mother you want more for them.
And which boy? Because you have two boys.
I have no favorites. If you ask them, they see me jumping in the stages, cheering them on. So really, I don't favor anyone. I give them all the same support.
Jesse Singh's mother, Natalie Singh. Hope you benefited. My name is Modern Sinkala. Keep watching ZNBC TV.